All right, there we go. We're live, gentlemen. Welcome to the lumber word. I was going to use the L word, but I think Showtime has the exclusive on that one.
You have to start paying royalties.
That's so 90s of you, Ash. So 90s.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So welcome to the lumber word, or the word in lumber.
Greg Riley, word.
Gregg Riley, Sitka, USA. Matt Beamer, Hampton Lumber Sales. Last week's show was great. A lot of feedback on that. People are happy. We're back in the groove now. If you don't watch it here, you can watch it on YouTube. We stream it on Apple, iTunes, also on Spotify. Just about probably on Spotify, because we probably have an audience about the size of Rogan's now, I'm guessing.
We're getting there.
And then LinkedIn, Twitter, now known as X. So we're getting some pretty good thing. We want you to actually sign up on Spotify and the other things, and eventually Matt, Greg, you guys can stream it on your LinkedIn too. So let's just jump into it. Since last week, we kind of felt that the lumber market may be changing a little bit, and we saw people fighting it. And I think when we talked last time, we're like, hey, from being in this industry a long time, the orders that we see happening, we're going to step away from the table and let other people do things that we probably don't make sense. And that kind of is what happened. People lunged at some orders, and all of a sudden, in the last 72 hours, or you could almost say since last Wednesday or Thursday, people covered short orders, started buying some items. 104.5/8 perfect item in all species. Caught a bid where it didn't have one for a while. 8-foot stud stayed strong, caught a bid. I'll just troll through a few things here.
Before you say, I just want to let all of our viewers know that if they were listening last week, Matt told you this was going to happen. Matt said, hey, you know what? It's not a bad time to buy some lumber. And literally we ended the show, and there was short covering at Mills, a little bit of follow through on Friday. And then, now I think everyone's going to just want to hear what Matt says this week. I'm anxiously anticipating it.
Yeah. I think, didn't we,
you know what I'm looking at now? I'm looking at the futures board. If it can go back up to a premium, I'd like to sell into that pretty heavily, but, that's just as a hedging tool. That's just something I'm always looking at, right? I compare whatever the price is based Chicago in the future to what I'm paying for cash. And if the spread gets to be big enough, which is something that we enjoyed for the first half of the year for the most part, then I want to sell that. But in terms of buying lumber, it's not too late to buy lumber. There's still deals out there. 2x6 is still undervalued compared to 2x4, and you can buy. I bought some straight 16s pretty cheap this last week. And, I think those are the types of things I'll still invest in. But I mean, really my plan for now is I'm just going to maintenance buy. Really, I'm going to just buy enough lumber to run my business and nothing really extra. I'm more concerned about the future than I am about right now. I think right now we're going to be fine for, like you said, September and October, pretty good outflow months. And I'm not negative on the next 2 months at all, but I'm more concerned about the fourth quarter and the first quarter macroeconomically than I am about the lumber business. So because of that, I'm going to try to keep my my rope a little bit shorter. That's all.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Matt. Let's go into the first thing.
To follow up on Matt's point.
Yeah,
I feel like the whole market is at that place. Yes, we said we identified a lot of short selling into the middle of last week, and that's in the process of becoming. But I don't see anybody that's going to say, "Oh gosh, I really want to build a big inventory, to cover myself through the rest of the year, or cover myself deep into the fourth quarter." Whether you're a distribution or an end user or a manufacturer, they're going to say, "Hey, we want to keep quote unquote like a normal average inventory." I think some people that was less than over the last couple weeks as they drained a little bit. And I think over the next between now and the end of August, we're going to see people, go ahead, put a little bit extra, but stay in that very manageable like whatever that window is for them. Is it 30 days? Is it 45? Is it 60 days? Right? Kind of stay in, a 30 to 60 day window of inventory, because I think everyone has the same sentiments that Matt does on the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, that also, one of the things that changed in the last 7 days was we weren't getting a lot of opportunities to sell fourth quarter jobs, right? And they just kind of, the phone sort of dried up on that stuff. And then all of a sudden in the last 3 days, the phone started ringing again on covering, October, November, December, January type stuff. And the interest is back. So maybe it's just because the futures is reverse course and that sort of prods people to pick up the phone again. But maybe there's some, maybe there's more business out there than we realize. And
you want to talk about housing starts, Ash, so we can talk about how much business is out there?
Yeah, let's talk about the monthly new residential construction, otherwise known as housing starts, for July. I mean, Matt, we were talking about it today, and I think Gregg kind of summed it up. It looks like we're building a healthy 1.4 million homes.
Yeah. 1.45. Mm-hmm.
1.4 to 1.5. Yep. Completions we're showing at 1.3. Arguably, I guess we'll slowly tick that up a little bit. But did you read anything into that that raises any flags, good or bad?
Me or Gregg?
Gregg, both of you.
Go ahead, Gregg.
I lost the connection there for a minute, and I didn't hear anything. What did you say?
So we were just saying, okay, so looking at the monthly starts, anything in there that sticks out to you that you would make a comment when you put it out on your?
I mean, I get my general sense is that, single family was up again month over month, and I think we're going to see single family is going to stay strong. I mean, we talked about it. Hey, listen, Warren Buffett bought Lennar and D.R. Horton $800 million worth of stock. Unless last time I checked, he was a pretty smart guy, and when he commits money to an industry, that's a positive.
Yeah, and he's committing money to an industry that's really arguably consolidating to, we're going to wake up and in 10 years, there's going to be 5 home builders building 80% of the homes in the U.S., it seems like.
I don't know, man. You would thought that would happen in lumber too, but it hasn't, right?
True.
Yeah, I think there's certainly, the percentage of the top 5 home builders is pretty large. But it's amazing how many, guys branch off and start new home building divisions, and the amount of, custom home builders, and it all depends on the area of the country. I mean, if you're in the Southeast or the Southwest, those markets are all dominated by major national home builders. You come up, into the Midwest or the Northeast, the Middle Atlantic, and it's less so.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
But the other thing I want to highlight with Warren Buffett, I think he's trying to do is bid that stock up a Lennar to make Brandon more money. And I can't, and I'm happy. I want Brandon to mac it. Absolutely. And if you happen to catch this, give me a call.
So the other thing I had sitting here that Greg Kuda from Westline put out yesterday reminded me, let's talk about, Matt, you got a lot of information on the home centers. It looks like Depot still had a good quarter. If I'm reading what they said here, basically, Greg, thanks for putting this out. While there was strength in categories associated with smaller projects, we did see continued pressure in certain big ticket discretionary categories. So there must not be as many people buying hummingbird feeders anymore. Is that what that means, or what?
I don't know. I just know that our business remains better than average. It's up for the year. It's up on a weekly basis. Our average weekly sales are higher every week this year than they ever have been. And, we're doing more business with them at a lower unit cost. So what's that tell you? They're up. They said they were going to be up like 10 to 15% this year, and they were right. So that doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon, from what we're hearing and from what we're seeing. I can't speak for everybody, but our business is good and looks to maintain that pace for especially the next 2 months, which is the busiest time of the year for the over the shoulder trade.
Yeah. So hey, just everybody, my chat window is down. So if you have something you want to send and ask Matt, Gregg, or I, just send an email to ashley@sitkainc.com and or send it to Gregg and Matt wherever you've got them at, and we'll get it on there. And it's user error on my part not being able to look. I can see the LinkedIn chats on my live screen on my personal one, but I can't see the YouTube questions and so forth. So this morning, getting calls from people like Matt, Gregg. I don't think this is surprising to you, but everybody's like, "Hey, should I buy some stuff in here?" Right? And one thing that I've noticed is we talked about
my answer to that is always yes, you should.
Yeah, from us.
From us. You know, I don't. Hey, should I buy? Hey, actually,
only the stuff that I want to sell
from like one of Matt and Gregg's competitors.
Well,
no, you should buy it from us.
let's look at Euro for a perfect example. For
it's gone, baby. It's gone.
So a month and a half, 2 months ago, Euro went from low trade on 16s on the port. What was it, guys? About
420, 430.
Low 400.
That sounds right, Matt. To all of a sudden jumped basically to 500, sat there, trade around the 500 mark. I think low trade yesterday was 525. I think it's kind of hard to find 16s now anywhere. You know, the big guys that put it on big chunks on there kind of sold their last out at 525, 535, and you know, and I think the next vessels are coming in, but that also takes away that the questions I'm getting is, hey, can I buy that from you at yesterday's price? Like, no, we sold more. So I think people are waking up and realizing it's going to be a little harder.
People in this business want to buy at yesterday's price when the price goes up. Huh.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you, and Gregg, you and I saw today inquiry yesterday, we're talking, I don't know, how is this thing looking? All of a sudden this morning, and, you know, as of an hour ago, I'm like, okay, look at this email with all this stuff this person's shopping, or look at this. All of a sudden, people are starting to come out of and looking for certain things. Is that a way to put it? Maybe what do you both
My general backdrop is that the market is a lot closer to equilibrium than people give it credit. You know, by and large, on European or on Canadian spruce, we're somewhere between at or slightly below cost to break even to below the cost to break even. And you know, kind of like everybody will do what they have to do for the short term, but you know, long term prices don't stay below break even for long unless you have this constant process of every time it goes down there, you lose some more production. Then prices move up a little bit, they move back, you lose production until you are out of equilibrium and the market is undersupplied, and that's when you get really outsized move. I'm going to say that will be, you know, the next huge move that rips everybody's head off will be in the first half of next year, because I do believe, you know, that the prices are going to bounce below break even, maybe break even, plus or minus, depending on the mill and their cost structure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for, you know, at least the next 6 months.
Hey, Gregg, those 92 and 5/8 that we quoted that we didn't think we were going to get, we just got POs on all those.
Start with a 5.
A 6.
We're starting to add a 6 to them.
Yeah.
Starting to hang 6 on them.
So,
but Matt, you know what? We work on to be cheap, be busy, baby. Right?
Be cheap, man. I don't want to buy from you. Starts with a 6. Come on, call me. I'll take care of you.
Gregg and Matt, you guys always
the next one will start with a 6 for sure.
You guys always talk about it, and we touched on this a little bit. September and October, what does business generally look like over the history of our trading lives, our 10-year history?
The history of the world?
Yeah.
Dude, it's kind of a toss-up, really. Sometimes you have really crummy September and Octobers, and sometimes you have really good. I don't really think there's a 100% foolproof pattern when it comes to September and October, other than We know that the days get shorter and the weather cools down a little bit. So therefore, no, there's more on the ground work is done. And we also know that the home center business historically is at a peak in the fall, right? So usually 2x6 makes a run in the fall. I mean, if it's going to make a run, 2x6 will make a run in the fall. And but I mean, whether the market's up or down is sort of a 50-50. Sometimes it's great and the market goes up and it kind of catches you off guard. We've had it. Remember, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, China came in and bought all kinds of stuff in September and kind of threw the market into an early rally. Like, we've had an unusual year if you think about it. We had a big summer rally, right? That's not normal. We don't normally have big rallies into the third week of July. And that was $100+ rally, right? That was a significant rally we just went through this in the last 2 months. So the big shock would be a big rally in the fall, right? That would be the big shock. A big, like another $150 rally going into October. That would catch a lot of people off guard. Not saying it's going to happen, but I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be the one that catches the most people sideways, honestly.
Greg?
Well, I mean, hey, listen, my mantra always is that, if you can find out where, where most people's thought process is and what their expectations of the market is, if there's a big enough consensus, then you can pretty much figure that the market's going to go another way. It's funny. People throw season, and Matt, everybody has like their own memory. I mean, I have this historical thought of seasonality of lumber is you make a first quarter high somewhere between the mid-February and the 1st of April. The market sells off in the second quarter, bottoms out sometime in June, and you have a rally into summer shutdowns into mid-July. Then the market, there's a little bit of adjustment. You have a bump back into September. And then, 7 out of 10 years historically, the low price is the third week in October. Now, I mean, we used to run a study, and prior to the last 10 years, like the last 2 weeks in September are the 2 weakest weeks of the year historically. Now that's been skewed now since COVID.
Are you talking about like on futures?
I'm talking about spruce lumber.
Just the price of spruce.
Yeah, just the price of spruce lumber. And then because then you get seasonal buys for the first quarter starting in early November, right? I mean, the book says you accumulate lumber in November and December because prices are higher 8 out of 10 years in the first quarter than they are in the fourth quarter.
Right. Last September and October, we were shedding inventory.
Go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
I just was saying last September and October, we were going the opposite direction. We were shedding inventory coming off of all-time highs, right? People were losing their brains.
And when you have those extreme moves, then it's, it throws those things up. But if you think back, when was the buy of buys was November last year.
Right.
It was $200.
November into
December. January futures, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, let's play a little game here, and let's play marry, date, or break up. So here's what I would do. I would marry Southern Yellow Pine and 2x4 16s right now. I would date MSR and 2x4 104 and 5/8, and I'd break up with 2x6 12s in any species. What's your thought?
Can you hear me? My phone rang. Sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you. So
I want to marry 2x6 16s, 2 and better.
Okay.
In any species, any grade, higher than 2 and better, 4 2 and better.
How about date?
I mean, I have to date it because it's my inventory item of choice. Is 2x4 number 3. I'm ambivalent about it. Right? I mean, I don't like the value of it, but it's holding in there. So I got to date it. And what was the last one?
Break up with.
That's a tough one. Like long term, 2x6 9s and 10s.
Nice. Okay. All right. Greg, marry.
mostly agree with Matt in terms of, the thing you want to marry right now is 2x4, 2x4 and 2x6, 2x6 because they're incredibly undervalued versus everything else. And if you think about it, that was the thing that kind of held in for the last 3 months, and it's just absolutely collapsed over the last 30 days.
And it couldn't get a date.
2x4 16s for sure, because they've been artificially depressed because of the Euro market. And I mean, I think the surprise will be that, you could see a 6 handle on 2x4 16s delivered before Labor Day. Dating, I am currently in a relationship, not a long-term committed relationship, but we are exclusive right now in Spruce MSR. I mean, we're the hot crazy matrix.
Yeah.
We've all seen that.
Yeah.
Probably one of the finest PowerPoint presentations ever created to man. I understand that there's a few women that, while they agree with it, find it somewhat offensive. But I'm in the fun zone right now. Okay, remember the fun zone, right?
Yeah.
Not too crazy, but still pretty hot. I'm in the fun zone on MSR, seasonally very, very positive, going into the fall. So we're gonna stay in the fun zone there. Break up with, I've officially broken up with 2x6 9s and 10s. Massively
Oh my God, I guessed a good one.
overvalued forever. I hate them. I want to sell. I want to sell. I want to like dump her on the curb, and that's it. So
Get out of the car now.
I mean, and just for the folks out there, hey, if there's any interest, I've yet to turn down a bid today on 2x6 9s and 10s. Okay.
Love it, guys. So any final thoughts going into this week that we should be looking at?
I don't know, Ash. Why don't you tell us what your opinion is? You're just the moderator here, but you're back in the game. Why don't you sum up your
I'll
thoughts?
tell you is I think that lumber prices are going to be stronger between now and over the next 2 weeks. If you're a lumber buyer, Matt told you, hey, not a bad time to buy. To his point, it's still, the prices haven't moved that much from the lows, and they're, within the margin of error of quote unquote how low they're going to be between now and whatever fourth quarter low. Hey, if whatever your inventory range is, you can probably add 30 days and not be hurt by that.
Tim Hansen just said, if any home center guys need a cheap fencing, I have broken up with 1x4 A grade dog-eared fence pickets as well. Cheap offers accepted. Matt, you asked my opinion, and yeah, I'm back in it, but it takes a long time to get your sea legs underneath you. So I fully trust what Gregg's opinion is. Here's what my feeling is. I put my mental feeling into many other people in the industry right now. When I walk in the morning at 8 after Gregg's been in here since 5:30, and I say, hey, I'm thinking about buying this, he looks at me and says, we don't need to buy anything right now unless we're selling it. Right. And I go back, I'm like, I'm glad I probably didn't do that, except certain things, which.
So this morning, he's already bought stuff before he came in this morning. Those were great buys.
Sure, yeah.
Hey, those were great buys, by the way.
Yeah.
You still, Ashley, you have not lost it. You still got it, babe.
So what I'm saying is I guess what I'm thinking, I'm seeing enough people asking and questioning it right now. I don't know whether there's something special here or not yet. All I know is it feels good, and like covering shorts is good in 24 to 48 hours. If I spec buy something, not talking about inventory, I'm just talking about a flipper. If I buy something and I can sell it within 24 to 48 hours, it was a good buy. I'm not convinced there's enough good deals out there. As Gregg said, the time to buy was months ago. I don't see the same value right now. I guess the other question I wanted to just throw out there is,
Ash, there's a 550 Cape 2x4 16s for September sold.
Okay, got it.
We were wondering when we were going to prove it. We proved it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Good job. I'm getting swarmed with emails for 2x4 16s as we speak here, and it's coming from everywhere in the western from Texas to West. It's just on my emails while I'm looking over here while we're talking, and it's just like more and more and more inquiries for trucks. And
well,
cars.
I guess people that watch the show like what we want to marry here, and they're following us to the altar.
Yeah, that's it. Oh,
Hey, one thing that's always been true in our business is that things that can't last, they won't. Right.
Yep.
And when mills have to dump 2x4/16s below cost for an extended period of time, that can't last. It will not last. And same thing's happening right now on 2x6/16s. That eventually the cheap deals are going to disappear forever, and you'll have to wait another year or two before that kind of situation. Mills have memories too, man. They got bosses that looking over their shoulder going, well, why did you put 500 units of them in the port of Houston?
Yeah.
They got to answer to their bosses just like we do. So, bad ideas get punished and good ideas get rewarded in this business. And our job and all the people watching this is trying to come up with good ideas and avoid the bad ideas, right? That's when you find out you have a bad idea, flip real quick and then go look for some other people with bad ideas and try to take advantage of their bad ideas. But, don't make them yourself.
So I had somebody ask me two questions, just two separate people. This is a good one to throw out there because I think everybody thinks it. Have we ever in this business seen 2x6 at this big of a premium to like 2x6 16s or 2x4 16? What was so 2x? Yeah. So why did that happen in 2x6 12s?
I don't know. 10s and 12s get funky sometimes. Sometimes they just become really valuable. I mean, that goes back to when I was a rookie.
It's not
when I was a young trader.
2x6 12s. It's a function of the 2x6 16s. European mills make 16 footers, and I mean the price of whether it was 2x4 or 2x6 12 foot in European was punk, but 16s were really good. So the market's been flooded. And Matt, and this, production trumps demand always. They can crush a price or make a price go up more by what that relative production is than what the changes of demand happen over long periods, and they're structural, whereas like available supply of links, widths, etc. is much more, the market adapts much more quickly.
So
well, yeah, I mean, the optimizers will just start pumping stuff out. If they see big premiums in a length, then next thing you know, that every mill in North America and Europe starts targeting that length. Like, well, why don't we just make more of it? We can. It's the same log. We'll just spit out, instead of pumping out more 14s and 16s, we'll pump out more 18s and 20s or 10s and 12s.
So, funny story about
they'll switch to a different width.
Funny story about that, Matt. I was up in northern Quebec at a mill 10 years ago, and they were showing me all their optimizers and how they put random lengths prices into them and or whatever price. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, when did you update these last? And the random lengths prices were updated in the optimizer like 3 months before. It's like so I always wonder what the lag time is and how much of that actually gets done, right? But I think it's probably more. It was just funny, and the sales manager was with me, and we both looked at it and laughed. He's like, "Yeah, I should probably have them update those."
Yeah, man, once in a while, maybe more than once.
But again, mill managers cut for yield, and there's always that headbutting between getting yield out and cutting the.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Has that changed?
You can't afford to just cut for yield in the modern era. The logs are too expensive. The cost of doing business is too expensive. The land's too expensive. The labor is too expensive. The machinery is too expensive. The cost of operating is just a lot more fraught with danger and potential loss than it ever has been. And so if you can't figure out how to maximize the value of that piece of wood going through from a log to the end product, even if the end product is chips, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They need to, in North America, they need to use every facet of that piece of wood going in and then coming out. Nothing goes to waste, and it's all got to be kind of mixed into the omelet to come out with the highest value, right? They can't just run a bunch of wood through a sawmill and then a planer and just run for production now. That's why the BC mills don't work. They're all designed to run 600, 700, 500 million board feet, and they're only running 250, 300 million board feet. That makes them extremely inefficient, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So now everybody's looking at efficiency.
So just as an FYI, you know, I mean, we're 2x6 12s, Ash. I'm going to say that 2x6 16s will be back to a premium to 2x6 12s in the next 30 days or sooner. I think that'll be more heavily driven by 2x6 16s moving up than the 12s moving down. But
that's a good point. Good point.
All right, hey, we're over our time, and I need to go buy some 2x6.
So just
I'm
real
not
quick,
in front of this trade as much as I want.
Real quick, I want to first of all, Matt, Greg, thanks for taking the time to do this. Matt, I want you to be able to promote. So this is, since we haven't done this in a while, tell a little bit about how people can get a hold of you, what you're looking to sell, where you're looking to do, what you're looking to do it out.
Well, I'm primarily in the Western United States, from Wisconsin down to Texas and all the way over to Colorado, Idaho, Washington. And spruce, white fir, Doug fir, Hampton makes all kinds of, we're a big mill. You can look us up. But Matt Beamer at HamptonLumber.com, or give me a call. I'm on the website there, and I'm happy to try to help anyone that wants to reach out.
And Greg, what are you looking to promote today? If you just sold 550 on 16s, what are you looking to do on 16s in Houston and in Cape?
Well, we're going to be 550 firm on both for a little more. I mean, I'm still, my focus is spruce MSR. I'm in the fun zone there, so I want to stay in the fun zone for a little while.
Okay. All right, real good. And we'll look forward to seeing you. I'll put this out on Spotify, YouTube, and all the other venues. And make sure you tell other people about the show, sign up, become members, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks guys. See ya. Bye.